In this video, we will continue exploring the wonders of similar triangles. This is problem number 10. That means in the previous video we did problems 1 through 9. So if you haven't seen that video, you might want to go back and check it out. Anyway, in number 10 we're given these similar triangles. When they give us a similarity statement, it gives us a lot of information because the order of the letters will tell us which sides are corresponding. So side AB is corresponding to side DE. So here's side AB and here's side DE. So these are corresponding, so I circled them. On the other hand, side BC corresponds with side EF. So here's BC, I'll put a square on that. And here's EF, I'll put a square on that. And really that's all we are going to need to answer these questions. So if I want to find the value of x, I'm going to call this triangle the new triangle. No, I'm going to call it the old triangle. Doesn't really matter. But I have a tradition of calling the smaller one the old triangle. So my OCD compels me to be consistent. But because the corresponding sides of similar triangles are proportional, then that means, for example, new over old should equal new over old. So that's what I'm going to do. So new over old, okay, looking at the circles, that would be 35 over 8x plus 12. So 35 over 8x plus 12. Now new over old with the squares, that would be 45 over 36. Okay, now both of these are divisible by 9, so I choose to reduce these. So I have 35 over 8x plus 12, but this is going to reduce down to 5 over 4. So now we will cross multiply. So if I multiply along the yellow diagonal, I'm talking about 5 times 8x plus 12. And then multiplying along the blue diagonal, let's see, what is 4 times 35 anyway? That's 140. So we have to do the distributive property. So that's going to be 40x plus 60 is equal to 140. Alright, time to subtract 60 from both sides. So that's going to give me 40x is equal to 80. And then I have to divide both sides by 40. So that gives me x is equal to 2. Now it's time to find y. Now the expression 3y is the measure of angle B. So notice that angle B corresponds with angle E. Okay, so here's angle E right here. So these two angles are corresponding, so that means that their measures should be equal. So that tells me that 3y should equal 33. Alright, these are corresponding angles. They are equal to each other. So of course I'm just going to divide both sides by 3. And that's going to give me y is equal to 11. For problem number 11, they are going to make us draw our own triangles. So, triangle PQR. Is similar to triangle STU. Okay, PQ is 40, QR is 36, PR is 33. ST is 30. We're supposed to find the length of TU. So I'm going to go ahead and just call that length X. So we're supposed to find X. So if I'm going to do corresponding sides, I'm going to call this one old and I'm going to call this one new. So when I set up my equations, I always do new over old is equal to new over old. Corresponding sides are proportional when the triangles are similar, and that's what proportional means. So new over old. So these will be corresponding sides. I've lined everything up so that the corresponding sides are all lined up. So that will be x over 36 if I do new over old, so x over 36. And then I'll do new over old again. That will be 30 over 40. And I just have to solve this simple equation. I am going to reduce this, so this will give me x over 36 is equal to 3/4. And then I'm going to cross multiply. So if I look at this diagonal, that's going to be 4x. And then if I do this diagonal, that's 108. And then we are going to divide both sides by 4. And that's 27. So TU is equal to 27. Number 12, Elise wants to enlarge a photograph that is 4 inches wide and 6 inches tall. The new picture will be 10 inches wide. How tall will it be? So I think it would be helpful to draw a picture. So we have the original photo, which is 4 inches wide and 6 inches tall. Now this photograph is being enlarged. Okay, so this will be the new photo. So this is the old and this is the new. The new picture will be 10 inches wide. How tall will it be? Alright, I'll put the X right here to represent the unknown height. So, because these are going to be similar figures, when you do an enlargement, the shape doesn't change, only the size. So these are similar, which means that the sides should be proportional. In other words, new over old should equal new over old. So new over old, corresponding sides would be x over 6, and then another pair of corresponding sides would be 10 over 4. Alright, we've got to keep it new over old equals new over old. This reduces down to 5 over 2, and then we cross multiply. So looking at this diagonal, we have 2x, and looking at the other diagonal, we have 30. Dividing by 2, then x is equal to 15. So the new picture will be 10 inches wide and 15 inches tall. In problem number 13, we are really dealing with two triangles. We have a triangle inside of a triangle. So we have this smaller triangle, and then we have the larger triangle around the outside. So I think it would be helpful to draw these triangles separately. So here's the smaller triangle, and here's the larger triangle. Okay, so let's label everything that we can. So first, on the smaller triangle, we know that the bottom side is 2.8. We do not know the vertical side. And in fact, how tall is Joel? That's what we were supposed to find, so I'll go ahead and put an X right there. Okay, on the larger triangle, okay, the vertical part is 11. All right, 11 meters. The horizontal part is going to be the sum of these two. So that's why this is going to be 17.8 meters. Notice that the 15 is not any side of either triangle. So 15 should not show up in your calculations. Okay, so I am going to label the smaller triangle as old and the larger triangle as new, so that I can set up my proportion in the form new over old is equal to new over old. Corresponding sides of similar triangles are proportional. Okay, so new over old. So that would be 11 over x, for example. So 11 over x, because these, of course, are corresponding sides. And then that will equal new over old again. So that's 17.8 over 2.8. And then it's time to cross multiply. So if I do this diagonal, then that's going to be 17.8x. And then I do this diagonal. All right, and that's 11 times 2.8. So that's 30.8. All right, then it's time to divide both sides by 17.8. Okay, it says round to 2 decimal places if necessary. So that'll be 1.73 meters tall. Problem number 14 sort of looks like a mid-segment problem, but it is not. We have learned in the past about something called a mid-segment, where if you have a segment that connects the midpoints of two sides of the triangle, then the mid-segment is half the length of the parallel side. So why is it that x is not just going to be half of 18? Why will it not simply be 9? Well, it's because BC is not the mid-segment. If BC was a mid-segment, then C would have to be the midpoint of side AE. And we can see that it is not, because we have 8 and 12. Those are different lengths, so C is not the midpoint. So why is it not just half? Because BC is not the mid-segment. Okay, find the value of x. So it might be helpful to draw these triangles separately. Okay, I think I'm going to use, alright, this is hard to, have to scroll back and forth, but I'm going to draw the triangle separately. So the two triangles I'm talking about are the relatively small triangle that's right here, triangle ABC, and then the larger triangle, triangle ADE. Okay, so those are the two triangles I'm about to draw separately. Let's start with triangle ABC. So here's triangle ABC. Okay, ABC. So this is A and B and C. Okay, what do I know? I know the 12 and the x. So this is 12 and this is x. Okay, now I'm going to draw the larger triangle. Okay, I'm not doing a great job of drawing this triangle, but you will forgive me. And this is triangle ADE. So this is A and D and E. Now, what do I know about that triangle? Well, DE is 18. All right, I know that. So that's 18. Now, what about AE? So be careful, AE is going to be the sum of these two. So this is 20. AE is going to be 20. Okay, so it looks like I'm not really going to need this 10 for any reason. Okay, so yeah, I should be able to solve this right now. Okay, so I'm going to consider this to be the old, and I will consider this to be the new. And when I set up my proportions, I always say new over old is equal to new over old. Alright, because that's what it means for corresponding sides to be proportional. So let's see, new over old, that would be 18 over x equals, and I need another new over old, so that would be 20 over 12 corresponding sides. So I've got 18 over x. This will reduce, of course. These are both divisible by 4. So that's going to simplify down to 5 over 3. So then I will cross multiply by multiplying these. So that'll be 5x. And then I will multiply these. 3 times 18. 54. And then divide both sides by 5. So that is 10.8. Alright, number 15 is very similar, and we have a small triangle that I've highlighted here in red. Alright, and now I'm going to move that small triangle off to the side, and now we're going to do the larger triangle. So let's see what we have. So when it comes to the smaller triangle, I see that we have the y, okay, is side AB there, and I see that we have the 12, okay, which is side AC. That's all I have for the smaller triangle. Now for the larger triangle, this long side here, the upper side, is going to be y plus 10. All right, from A to D is the large side of this triangle, and I have to add these up. All right, 10 plus y, that's y plus 10. Similarly, side AE is going to be 20, just like it was on the previous problem. I have to add these up as well, so that's going to be 20. Now I'm going to consider the smaller triangle to be old and the larger triangle to be new, so that I can use the pattern new over old is equal to new over old. Alright, the corresponding sides are proportional. So if I do new over old, that will be y plus 10 over y. Alright, because these are corresponding sides. Then if I do new over old again, that'll be 20 over 12, new over old. So I have y plus 10 over y is equal to, let's see, both of these are divisible by 4. So that's going to give me 5 over 3. So I need to cross multiply. So if I multiply this diagonal, it's going to give me 5y. And if I multiply the other diagonal, alright, that's 3 times y plus 10. So that's going to give me 5y is equal to 3y plus 30. Obviously I did the distributive property just then. Subtracting 3y from both sides, that gives me 2y is equal to 30. And dividing both sides by 2, I get y is equal to 15. In problem number 16, we are given that DE is a midsegment of the triangle. So that tells me that these two sides are parallel. Alright, because the midsegment is always going to be parallel to the other side. Well, it's always going to be parallel to one side of the triangle, and AC is the only one that it could possibly be. Let's go ahead and get this similarity statement out of the way. Triangle ABC, alright, the large triangle, is going to be similar to triangle DBE. Alright, and that's easy because they are rotated in the same direction, so that's sort of common sense. Name a pair of parallel sides. AC is parallel to DE. Okay. Now, we know that the mid-segment is always half the length of the parallel side. So these are not equal, so I'm not going to take these two and set them equal to each other. That would be a common mistake. Instead, if I double the mid-segment, so if I take 2 times DE, alright, if I double the mid-segment, it should equal the parallel side. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so if I double the mid-segment, which was this 3x plus 8, that should equal the parallel side, which was 8x minus 2. So distributive property here, I have 6x plus 16 is equal to 8x minus 2. I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. So that's going to give me 16 is equal to 2x minus 2. Then I would add 2 to both sides. So that gives me 18 is equal to 2x. So then when I divide both sides by 2, I get x is equal to 9. Okay, AD and DB. Alright, gotta look back at my diagram. Okay, AD and DB. Well, if DE is a mid-segment, that means that point D and point E are both midpoints. So if point D is a midpoint, then that means that AD and DB are congruent. So these should have equal length. So that's why I can take 8y minus 80 and set it equal to 3y minus 10. So I see I have variables on both sides, so the first thing I want to do is get those together by subtracting 3y from both sides. So that's going to give me 5y minus 80 is equal to negative 10. And then I can add 80 to both sides. So that'll give me 5y is equal to 70. And then you divide both sides by 5. And that's 14. So y is equal to 14. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.